Hi everyone, happy Wednesday. Sorry I'm late today. It's been busy and I'm really behind on all the stuff that I have to do. So I'm sorry about the wait in people writing me. I'm going back as fast as I can. A bunch of orders are happening today, so my mind is kind of everywhere. But I still wanted to do my live today because I enjoy doing them and you guys enjoy it too, so I think it's really cool. So today I don't think I'm going to talk like crazy long. There's just a thousand things I still have to do, and my birds are calling me to go spend some time with them too. I feel like if I could clone myself, I honestly would. Anyway, so there's a couple of things that I want to talk about today that I couldn't touch on yesterday. Hi, everybody. So one of the things I want to touch on is blood feathers and what they are and why our birds get them. On the lines of the blood feathers, I'm also going to tell you the difference between a blood feather and a pin feather because they are two different things. And then I'm going to touch on a little bit of why your bird might hate someone in the family. And I know how that sounds, but honestly, just sometimes there are different birds that unfortunately just don't like everyone in the household. So I'm going to give you a couple reasons why I think it might happen. Remember, all of these videos are my personal experiences, personal preferences, so you might have different ones. That's okay, you're allowed to. But in this video, it's more focused on the things that I think are proper for your bird. So let's talk about, let's go blood feathers first. Blood feathers. So basically, everyone knows our birds molt, which is when they lose feathers. They usually molt once or twice a year. Some birds, for some reason, molt a lot more. Budgies and cockatiels, for some reason, just seem to lose so many more feathers. They don't look like they're losing it, but like they've lost a lot of feathers, and you'll notice it around the cage, you'll notice it in the cage, you'll just notice it everywhere. So when birds lose their feathers, new ones grow in. You will notice a new feather when it grows in. It looks almost like a spike. It literally looks like a little spike that comes out of their skin. There is like a waxy coating on it, very similar to like a plastic that grows on the feathers. Most areas on your bird is able to clean that up. Your bird is able to actually like break open that feather and release it, so that's awesome. There are some areas of your bird that they can't do this, and they actually rely on their companion to help them. Us being their human, we are their companion. That's the job and role that we have taken when we get our birds. So we need to also help them with the full grooming side of it. On their head, when they get these new pin feathers, it seems, honestly, some birds go through a really, really, really bad molt. Usually their first molt can be pretty brutal. There are certain species that go through really big molts. Conures, for example, I find go through just a crazy molt. It's just because their feathers are really, I think, thickening out, so more are coming through, so they kind of fill out more, which leaves a lot of these little spikes all over their head. Those are called pin feathers. A pin feather is a small feather that is located on their body that is relatively small. There is a blood source to that pin feather though. We have to think of every little spike coming out of your bird's head is a new feather growing, and all feathers, they don't look like a normal feather when they grow. They actually have a blood supply that helps the feather grow. In the case of pin feathers, most of your bird's feathers are pin feathers. The main blood feathers would be the feathers that are very long. So their flight feathers, their tail feathers, and usually some of their cover feathers. These feathers, when they grow, they're just thicker. They are bigger. So that feather needs a bigger blood supply to grow. So these tail feathers, they have this casing that, you know what, I'm actually gonna go, I'm gonna use Oscar as an example because she's gonna let me do this. Oscar, so let me see your wings, please. Okay guys, so see this feather right here? So you can see it's smaller than the other ones. You can actually see all of that red. There's another one right here too. Well, that's blood. So that is called a blood feather. So unfortunately, there's literally nothing we can do. Oscar, you're such a good girl. Let me see more. There's physically nothing you can do to stop these from growing. Unfortunately, it's just how they grow, and it's just something we have to deal with. Now, sorry, I gotta just put that back on here. So now that we can kind of identify what a blood feather is, there's a few things that you have to be cautious for. I personally, when people bring in their birds to me for doing like a wing and nail trim, what I like to do is I don't just focus on that task at hand. What I do is I literally, when I hold your bird, I'm opening up their wings, I'm looking at them. I kind of want to see what I'm working with because I want to make sure that there isn't any blood feathers that I'm going to be irritating while I'm clipping their feathers. So I always have to look to make sure that they don't have a blood feather. And this goes back to yesterday's video as to like experienced wing trimmers. If I didn't know that there was a new feather growing in and I just used my scissors and cut it, basically what's happening is the best way to think about it is if you have a straw in your vein and you're just sitting there, it's literally an open source, the blood's literally just gonna pour out. It's just gonna be such a heavy like flow of blood that it's probably not gonna clot, meaning like it's not gonna just dry up itself. The best thing for you to do for that is to get some of these. I know, super awkward. I know most of us didn't go to school to become a doctor. A lot of us don't know what these are. I believe they're just little, the forceps, I think they are. So little pliers, anything will work like that. The reason why I like these ones specifically is because they lock. So like when I actually am able to kind of grab a feather, I'm able to lock it so I can pull it. The only thing you can do to really fix a blood feather is pull it out. And some people, unfortunately, if you don't pull out all of it, it's going to bleed. It's just going to continue to go. So it's something that I think everyone should know how to do because it's something that can happen at any time. And I don't know about you guys, but I find with my luck, this stuff happens like the middle of the night where there's literally nothing I can do. There's no vet. I can't. In London, we only have really one vet that we can go to. We don't have an emergency. And I really don't think I can drive to Guelph at like 2 in the morning when just stuff like this happens. So learning how to take those out is a wonderful thing. Fortunately, but unfortunately, I can't show you how to do that because there's really, there's no one I have to do it to today. But I did actually, if you give me 1 second, I actually had someone come in today and bring in their cockatiel. And their cockatiel, its tail, which is a blood feather, it actually was broken. So I actually had to pull it out. So I actually have the blood feather here, which is really cool because I can actually show you what a blood feather looks like. So look at that. What a great day for that to happen. Okay, so this is a blood feather. So you guys can see, let me see if I can get focus there. You can see this whole casing is the case of the feather, realistically. So what we do is like we kind of scratch this coating off. So as you can see, we can scratch it. That's what a bird would do. And as we scratch it, it releases the feathers. Sometimes if this casing stays on too long, you will notice that the feather quality looks pretty crappy. So, I just dropped some blood everywhere. Ugh. So as you can see there is sorry. There's a blood flow in here, so that's blood. And if it broke, it would continuously to bleed. So, as you can see, this feather's very crappy. It's like basically broken right here. The feather looks horrible. So this right here is literally a red flag. This is a problem waiting to happen. It just was like hanging there. It was literally, if this broke, which it already is starting to, it's just gonna like see like it's already, yeah. So if this starts ripping and ripping, you're literally gonna give like an extra blood supply from the tail to the floor. It's gonna go everywhere. Blood's gonna be everywhere. They're gonna panic. You're gonna panic. It's a traumatizing thing, but it's unfortunately something that all of us have to deal with. And sometimes I can't get your message at 12 o'clock at night, so I can't really help you with that either. But hopefully, me telling you it's something that you should really learn. Maybe what I'll do is I'll find a good YouTube video that I prefer, because that's where I actually learned how to do it. It happened like 3 o'clock in the morning. One of my baby cockatiels, a white one, broke its blood feather, which happens for a baby, and there was blood everywhere. The bird was white, so it just looked just like a traumatic thing. So I literally held the cockatiel. I literally went on YouTube quickly. I figured out what happened, fast forward it, got the idea of it. I'm pretty hands-on with this, so I'm not nervous. Literally took it out, I fixed it, the blood stopped. Honestly, it was fine. So I can focus when a traumatic thing happens. Some of us cannot, so it would probably be smart to learn how to do it. So basically that's a blood feather. These feathers can be on the tail, it could be on the wings. Those are the ones you really have to watch out for. Today, the same lady that brought in this cockatiel had another cockatiel that I was doing their wings. And I actually looked at her wings, and even though there was 2 feathers that I know for sure I could have clipped, I stopped because I wanted to make sure, I checked. I wanted to make sure everything was good. And I noticed that there is actually 4 new blood feathers growing in. Yes, I wouldn't have hit it if I cut it, but I have to remember in 2 weeks, those feathers are going to be like 1 inch, 2 inches longer. That we have to think like a tomato plant. They grow so fast, so quickly. Like they just grow that if you don't have something to hold it up, they're gonna fall over and break. That's what we want to avoid, is breaking their flight feathers or their blood feathers. So I chose to leave those long feathers. So when those feathers start growing, it has something to grow up against. So remember that just if you trim your wings, to always look for blood feathers. Always worry about the one in front of it, because it will protect the actual feathers. Okay? Perfect. So that was blood feathers. I hope all you guys got some info on that. Sorry it was so traumatizing. But yeah, so that's blood feathers. So part 2 of this is going to be families and why your bird might not like everybody. So this one right here is it's kind of an awkward one, because unfortunately there's different reasons why a bird might hate someone in your household, and sometimes you might not agree with it, but unfortunately facts are facts and it's truth. Let's start with children. Okay, so there are a lot of children out there that want birds. I personally think there are 2 types of children. We have the ones that are like I was a kid. I was an animal person. I was not an energetic hyper kid. I knew how to be around these animals. Birds are one of the creatures that can sense emotion, vibes. They can tell you if you're angry, if you're upset, if you're overwhelmed. Birds are so smart and so in tune with how we feel. And unfortunately, children have a very hard time hiding their feelings, hiding their emotions. Some children are very hyper. They're hyper kids. They're the kids that go from A to B, the kids that you wouldn't be surprised if they're poking at the bird. It won't surprise you if they yell all the time. It doesn't surprise you when they do these things. Well, honestly, those are probably the worst children to have birds. I know, not a great thing to say, but unfortunately it's true. It actually overwhelms the bird. And even if the bird is yours, even if the bird is yours, sorry, Sarge is just walking around everywhere. Even if your bird is yours and you have children, if those children are super energetic and super hyper, your bird might just not like them. And unfortunately, it's not your bird's fault. Basically, what is going through the bird's mind when it goes to somebody is 100% safety. Do I feel safe with that person? If you are an energetic person, your vibes are just everywhere, you are an unpredictable person. You get into the category of, I'm not sure what's gonna happen, so if I go to that person, am I gonna fall? Are they gonna hurt me? What's gonna happen? Even though you know your child's not gonna physically hurt that bird, it doesn't matter. The bird doesn't care. The bird feels that that kid is energetic and that kid is unpredictable, and that bird is going to react on its feeling. So the chances of you getting bit are very high. The chances of you also rooting it for other potential children are very high as well. Now, that being said, this is not a 100% thing for every person. Kids grow out of that energetic vibe and stuff like that. And a lot of times when they grow out of that energetic vibe and start becoming more of like a more mature, more calm, more relaxed, can understand that the bird is upset, you will notice a better relationship with that person and that bird. My biggest thing is when people give their bird to somebody who is scared. My biggest thing is, I hate doing it, but I call people out a lot. If they're coming in to buy a bird from me and I notice they can't even pick the bird up, I'll literally look at them and I'll be like, are you scared of the bird? I understand there is a little fear in birds, but if you are going into a bird and you're scared of that bird, I wouldn't get the bird. Maybe just spend more time with people with those birds. It's okay to be scared. That's fine. You're allowed to be scared. There are different birds that I'm nervous of. I wouldn't go and just pick up a random bird. I can tell when they're upset with me, but just because I'm a bird person doesn't mean I know better than a person. That being said, I'm the type of person that I'm not nervous of the birds, so there are very few birds that I can't handle, but I'm not oblivious to the ones that just don't want it. I know they won't, and instead of stressing that bird out and making him come to me and force my love on him, I'm actually going to step back. I'm going to find a treat that bird likes, and I'm going to give that bird a treat. Just going to give him a treat. He takes it and throws it, that's okay. That's his prerogative. He just lost his treat. But what I've just done there is instead of showing him that I'm scared and showing him that I'm a threat because I have to hide my emotions now, I just gave him a treat. So what I've done there is I've actually showed hey, I get you're upset, so here's a treat. I know you like this, so here's a gift. Let me win your love over. My son, Conyer Miko, he hates people. He hates everybody. He hates my sister, he hates my cousins, he hates my mom, he hates my brother, he literally hates everybody. Now, there's one person that it amazes me because I'm now not the only person that can hold him. My friend is actually able to hold him and play with him now because he didn't rush the relationship. All he did was, hey, I know your bird likes papaya. Here's a piece of papaya. there you go. That was it. That was all it was. Yes, it took a long time, but that bird, he trusts him now. So like, he rides on his shoulder, he can kiss him, he can pick him up. Yeah, he can't do everything that I can do with him, but that's not the relationship they have. I have that relationship with him, but just the fact that he took that extra time, not to be like, he was scared of him too. Like Miko, he goes for blood, and he's the type of bird that he'll bite you and it will take minutes, like 5 minutes before it starts bleeding. Like your body doesn't even know that like it's literally just been sliced, because he's a strong bird. He's a sun conure and he is savage. But he is honestly one of the most gentle birds to me. Like me and him are really bonded, and he was my first parrot. Like my first conure, and I raised him when I worked at Super Pet. So we have such a great past, and our bond is just amazing. But so basically the story of him, and this is why he hates all children, is because when I worked at Super Pet, I was literally 14 years old. I don't even think I was legally allowed to work at that age, but I was there. I literally called every day. I'm like, I want a job. So anyway, long story short, I got a job. And one of the things that I did was I was in their bird department and I was hand feeding parrots. Well, Miko was the first sun conure that I've ever interacted with. I got to help raise him as a baby when I worked there. And back then, sun conures were $1,500. And I was 14. This was now 15 years ago. Holy jeez. 15 years ago. And like I didn't really have $1,500, and my parents 15 years ago were definitely not going to let me spend $1,500 on a pet. It just wasn't happening. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to adopt him, and he had to go to this girl that like he liked. Miko was great as a baby. Well, a couple years later, she decided to have a kid. Well, that kid started tormenting Miko to the point that instead of that girl like understanding that the bird was upset, she just let it happen. And when I got Miko, I ended up buying him, and he was about two and a half. He was already fully colored, and he was traumatized. He bit me so much. Blood was like, I still literally have scars from him on my hand. I bled, but I didn't care. I worked my ass off, and I gave him treats, and I bonded with him, and we're best friends now. But that one interaction with that child ruins him for every other kid. I know he's not going to change. I will never put him in a situation that he has to feel that he has to protect himself like that again. Yes, now when people come over, like he gets overwhelmed, like he will yell at you, but he shows you he's upset, and that's when I'd be like, yo, like just step away from him, like let him do his thing. It's not his fault. He had a lot of trauma in the past, so we have to remember that with our kids, that even though they might not actually want to be mean to that bird, the fact is it's stressing the bird out, and that's not going to help them. If you're scared of the bird, like if you have a friend over and they're like going to pick up the bird and they're like shaking, I literally tell them like, no, you can't hold my bird anymore, because they're going to do more harm to your bird emotionally than it's going to help the bird. Like, yeah, we want our birds to be socialized, but we want them to be socialized with the right people. Unfortunately, some people they're nervous and they can't get past the fact that a bird might bite you. Those aren't the right people to let hold your bird. Even though your bird could be so super friendly, those people often can get your bird to feel uncomfortable, and it puts them in a place that they have to feel uncomfortable, which is what we do not want. So what I would recommend is for those people that are scared of a bird, and instead of just trying to pick up the bird because you want to pick up the bird, just be like, hey, can I give your bird a treat? Can I just do a positive experience this time to show your bird that I'm not mean? Even 10 minutes later, if you want to try again, like that's fine, but just start the conversation with, hey, I'm nervous of your bird, so instead of forcing it on me, what can I do? Or maybe you as a bird owner now can be like, hey, I can see you're nervous of birds. That's okay. So like, what can I do to make you more comfortable? If your bird is flying around everywhere and it's prone to swoop at people's heads, that's not gonna fix like just put your bird in the cage and try the interaction like that, because my biggest thing is when people are scared that they walk in here, they look at the bird and they're like, that bird's gonna fly at my head, and I'm all panicked. I'm like, no, like you need to relax because this bird won't do that. But it's unfortunate because people think it's funny when their birds do that. It's cute. They love you so much, they're protecting you. But sometimes it overwhelms other people, which in turn shows a lot of negative things for your bird, which is more negative than harmful. So something to remember about that is picking appropriate people to play with your birds, and they're not like a puppy. They're a little bit more, they're a lot more misunderstood, and we're all still learning them. There's not a single person on this planet that knows everything about birds. I'm learning stuff every day. There's new things that I hear about all the time that like I don't even know about. So I like to learn those things, and it's just fun things to know. They're quirky. Like I didn't know birds want to take a bath when you vacuum because the vibrations, they actually feel it in their feathers. It actually stimulates that they're going to dry quicker. So a lot of birds will shower when it's like vacuuming or when it's really loud, because in the jungle and where they're from, if it's very loud, there's probably no predators around. It's when it's quiet, it's like, where is everybody? That's why birds, they like to chirp when you watch TV, and if you turn the TV louder, they're just going to get louder. So some of the things that I would say is if your bird is scared of your family members, instead of forcing your bird on them, just tell them to give them a treat. Just give them a treat. That's it. Start again tomorrow. Just keep giving treats. Sometimes it takes a couple days, sometimes a couple weeks, sometimes a year. But the joys of birds is like they last a long time. So like you should never stop doing things with them. Just because your bird doesn't like something today doesn't mean it's gonna not like it tomorrow. So just keep offering things, vegetables, just keep doing it, you know, like any of the different mixes that I have, just keep adding it. Like if you just do it once and never again, like your bird's never gonna learn to like it. So make sure you offer these things to them so that you can really broaden their horizon. A happy fed bird is just overall happier. Birds that are on high seed diets and nothing else will be a little more grumpy, because who isn't grumpy when they eat junk food all day, right? So other than that, guys, I hope this was an awesome video for you. I hope you guys learned a little bit from this. Again, if you have any other messages or any other topics you want me to cover, please shoot me a message. Other than that, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day, and we will see you. Well, I'll probably be on tomorrow, so you will see me tomorrow. Okay, guys, have a great one.